Welcome back to another video. It's been a little bit longer than last time because I've been incredibly lazy. No, I've been lazy. I've just been doing absolutely nothing. Quick little backstory. I've been working a lot with Moment for a while now. You guys know I always talk about Moment products on this channel, and they hit me up and said, look, we got this Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro. Would you like to play with it? I said, yes, I would like to play with this camera. Do I have a lot of time to play with it? Absolutely not. And then it got stuck in this whole customs FedEx thing, which was just a whole nightmare. Long story short, I only had about a week with the 6K Pro, and for me, look, there's a ton of reviews out there. A lot of my friends have made great reviews. I'm probably showing on screen right now a couple that you could go watch. And so I thought to myself, you know, what's the new thing that I can do with this camera? There really isn't all that much that I can say about it that hasn't already been said. The only thing I can really do with this camera is use it. That TV just shut off. That is extremely creepy. I'm gonna end this video now because I'm clearly being haunted and possessed by a demon. TV's back on now by my own device. It wasn't the demon. Like, honestly, beyond the fact that there's just so many camera reviews out there, I'm just not a huge fan of doing camera reviews because, like I say on every single video I do when I do a camera review, is like all cameras are just so good now that for me to sit here and tell you this camera's bad and this camera's better than this one and blah, 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 like check out this, doesn't interest me in the slightest. What is most interesting to me is, does this camera allow you to do the things that you want to do? Does it inspire you? Is it exciting? Does it make you creatively jump out of your bones and be like, hey, I just want to go make this thing? Why would you jump out of your bones? Like, that's like, how do you jump out of your bones? That is the dumbest thing I've ever said. But like, even this camera I'm using right now, this Lumix S5, I keep using this camera not because I just think it's the best camera in the world. It just seems to be the camera that I enjoy the most using. It just excites me. It doesn't mean it's the best paper specs or whatever. I just personally like it. And so I think cameras now are so subjective to how you are going to use them. So the best way I could review the 6K Pro was to just use it. So that's what I did. Again, I only had about a week with this camera. So what I thought I'd do is make 2 short films. Are they the greatest short films in the world? I'll let you decide. I won't say anything until you've watched them, but let's just watch these 2 films that I've made with the Pocket 6K Pro. And then I'll talk about some of my experience with this camera, and I'll talk a little bit about my process going into these films as well. But hey, you're here to see what this camera can do. I'm gonna show you what this camera can do.
Because you're broke? Or
It's really good Chinese. Actually, Thai.
you've done a little bit of a difficult task today. My roommate was so rude this morning for his last.
I just had the best chills I've had in my entire life. Just had the best chills I've had in my entire life. Bro, I just had the best fucking chicken wings I ever had in my entire life. Hey bro, I just had the best fucking chicken wings I ever had in my entire life. Just had the best chicken wings I ever had in my entire life.
Chicken wings in my entire life. I just had the best chicken wings in my entire life. I just had the best chicken wings in my entire life. I just had the best chicken wings in my entire life. Bro.
on me? No, man, I'm too good. I'm too fast for you.
I told you, man. I told you I'm too fast. I see you. You got your eyes on me?
Pull back, though. Pull back or make it rain. Bro, I'm all fucking money today.
What's up, bro? Just me and you. All right, okay. I see you. I'll let you have that one. Just one. Everybody gets one.
All right, were these the best short films you've ever seen in your entire life? Probably not. Am I going to Sundance anytime soon? I don't think so, but I had a whole lot of fun making these. We'll start with the one that I made with my brother, which is called Air Chilled Chicken. If you watch that and at the end of it, you were like, I have no idea what I showed my girlfriend. She's like, what the fuck did I just watch? And that's kind of the idea we were going for. Like, I'm a big fan of surrealist humor and this whole idea of like, what the hell am I even watching? Like, most of it is just like an inside joke between me and a few friends, and being able to document that with like this cinema camera is just really interesting and funny personally to me. If you got some enjoyment out of it, that's great. What I did try to do with it is at least show you that it can be a great tool for cinematography. Like, I think the shots look really great. If you don't understand the narrative, you don't understand the joke, if you didn't even smile, I hope that you took away that the shots looked nice, and that was really the main goal for you guys. For me, it was just a really fun short film to make with my little brother, and I think he did an exceptional job acting in that short. And I wrote a whole script for it. I actually wrote like 5 pages of dialogue and script and all this kind of stuff for it, and then it all got condensed down to what you saw, which is like very minimal dialogue and very minimal shots. It was just super, super simple. And this was also the first thing I really shot with the 6K Pro. It basically arrived, and the next day I shot that little short film. I had already started writing it because I knew the camera was on its way, but when I got out there, I was just kind of thrown into the trenches with this camera. I didn't really know a whole lot about it. I do have a Pocket 4K, so I am familiar with the Blackmagic system, but beyond that, it was kind of a whole new experience for me. Of course, because I have that Pocket 4K and I know how to use cameras, it wasn't a huge learning curve. And it's not a whole lot different than any other Blackmagic camera, especially in the Pocket family, that you've ever used. Really, you're just adding that new tilt-up screen. I also really like the new MPF battery because the battery life has been notoriously bad on these cameras previously. I think this MPF battery system is a lot better, but for me, ultimately all I do is throw a battery in it, tilt that screen up and start recording, and I was away. I was going at it. I shot the whole thing with the Sigma 18-35. Actually, both shorts were shot with the 18-35, and I didn't have to rig this camera up. I didn't have to add a whole bunch of bells and whistles. It pretty much works out of the box, and that's the big thing with the 6K Pro over all of the Blackmagic cameras for me, that I'm like, okay, this kind of makes a bit more sense now, because previously with the Pocket 4K, I just kept thinking, every time I go to use it, I gotta rig this thing up. I gotta add external power. I gotta add all these bells and whistles to it just to get it to a functioning standpoint. And for me, I just do not like adding all that crap to my camera. If I have to, that's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with needing to build up a camera. Like, I build up this Lumix S5 quite often, but there are times like when you're running around making a short film with some friends where you don't want to rig it up. And also, if you want to be a little bit more inconspicuous, which kind of leads us into the second short, it's like, you know, if you're just showing up at a basketball court at 7 in the morning and there's people walking around, there's houses and stuff, like, you don't have a permit for that. You don't really want to show up with a full crew and an Alexa and an Easy Rig and all this kind of crazy stuff. You really want something that looks a little bit more like a tourist camera. You want something that feels a little bit low key and low profile. And that's where this camera is like exceptionally interesting, because it is really a full out cinema camera. And, you know, we talk about like, what does cinema camera even mean anymore? But by definition, I think this one fits it very well because it has internal NDs, which for both short films were a lifesaver. Those internal NDs are fantastic. I hope every camera gets internal NDs at some point, because it's just so much nicer to click that ND than to have to add an ND onto your lens. It's just so much smoother and easier for your shooting experience. But overarching everything, and, you know, beyond the whole inconspicuous thing, the fact that it's smaller or whatever, I really think it's the camera that completely demolishes the gap between high-end filmmaking cameras like an Alexa, Red, whatever, and consumer level cameras like even this S5. And I think this S5 does a similar thing too, but I think there's a little bit more of a filmmaker's focus with the Pocket 6K Pro and the 6K and the 4K that the gap is completely gone now. Like anybody, Christopher Nolan, Hoyt van Hoytema, Roger Deakins, anybody could pick that camera up and shoot 1917, shoot Interstellar, whatever. Forget film, forget all that other crap. Let's just, for this conversation, let's keep it simple. They could pick up this camera and make an Oscar-worthy movie. I could pick up that camera and make an Oscar-worthy movie if I had the talent to do that, or one day you could pick it up and make an Oscar-worthy movie. There is literally zero barrier now aside from, actors and production budgets and all that stuff. But when it comes down to the gear, I think the 6K Pro is the distilled sort of version of what we've always been talking about, that anybody can make a movie now. Anybody can make a TV show now. Anybody can make a miniseries, whatever. There is just zero reasons for you to think that it's gear related why you haven't made the thing that you want to make. It's you. That's why you haven't made the thing you want to make. And so the 6K Pro is super exciting, but it can also be kind of terrifying, because when you start shooting with it and shooting with any new camera, you start to realize, oh yeah, it's my ability that matters here. It's not this sensor, it's not this lens, it's not the codec, it's not anything else. It's what am I capable of shooting with these tools, because the tools have no longer stopped me from creating my vision. And that's why the 6K Pro, even from a cost standpoint, we're talking this thing's under $3,000. That's astronomically cheap for what this camera can do. Really, we're just gonna keep talking about this, but how can any of us complain about anything right now? The only thing that you can complain about is if you don't like the form factor, which I totally understand. It's not for everybody. I don't even think it's entirely for me. I did like the tilt-up screen, but it just felt a little bit cumbersome to hold and to use. It's fine. It's not my favorite thing in the world. Is it usable? Absolutely. And for all the other bells and whistles we get with it, I probably would say it's easy to overlook those sort of shortcomings. But at the end of the day, I think Blackmagic is the one severely, seriously closing that gap between the Alexas and, whatever, your old T3i. They sit right here and they bridge those two worlds together to make sure that any of us can make the things that we want to make. And for that alone, I would recommend this camera just for what it stands for. I'm always looking for new ways to sort of make camera reviews and gear stuff a little bit more interesting for myself and interesting for you. And so I think moving forward, I want to do a lot more of these like in the field, let me just go shoot something, put a script together, all that, the whole process of like writing, getting your friends together, executing it, editing it, sound design. Like in Air Chilled Chicken, I even had my buddy DJ do a VFX fly. Like what? Like, did it need that? Absolutely not. But was it fun? And do we get to work together and have a blast doing it? Absolutely. Like, it's such a silly little short film, but to have a full out like CGI fly in it, that is just to me the fun of making movies and short films. And I want to do more of that rather than focusing on the gear itself. And not that I want to get into whole like breakdowns and stuff of like how to make short films and whatnot, but I think it's just a better way to demonstrate what these cameras are capable of. And it makes me practice. It allows me like an opportunity to get better at this stuff, because I'm still nowhere near the level that I want to be at. And I have to keep doing more of this to get better at it and get to that level at some point. So the more I can do this, and if the catalyst is a camera review, I'm gonna take that as an opportunity. Thank you again to Moment and Blackmagic for letting me play with the 6K Pro for a little bit, and also to Sigma, who also sent out a Sigma 18-35, which I already had, so I didn't have to use your Sigma, but Sigma, I'm using a Sigma lens right now. You guys are also great. Anyways, I'm Patrick Tomasso, and you will see or hear me next time I feel like making a video. TV didn't shut off. Demon is gone. Only my own demons live within inside me now. My personal demons. That's for me to deal with, has nothing to do with you. Cheers.